Good afternoon. Happy Friday to everybody. Another Friday, our 27th episode. Friday, 2/1/19. We made it to February. Special guest returning to the plate. The one, the only.
Kevin?
TJ Big Country. Say hi,
Hey guys.
TJ.
Welcome back.
We're happy to have TJ back. That's your big return? No opening speech?
Well, you guys were supposed to play Welcome Back Cotter, and you guys...
Yes, we were going to play Welcome Back Cotter, but Levi reminded us that we'd probably get copyright infringed and be shut offline, so we didn't. So Kevin's going to sing Happy Welcome Back Cotter for us. So Kevin Adams is here today as well. We were going to just be me and TJ, and as you can see, our talk today is very seasonal, as we've had one heck of a week nationwide with this freeze snap that we've had, and we've been fielding a lot of questions with diesel and winter anti-gel, our new rescue product and so forth. And I know today I even went to Kevin knowing that we were going to talk about it, and I said, let's get me up to speed on the education on it. I know the product, but what can I know more? And it's complicated. So I said, Kevin, you're going to join us.
Got drafted.
Yeah, and just so everybody remembers, down below, go ahead and write comments or questions. We will be answering all those for you guys.
You got three of us.
Yeah, you got three of us, and most all of us are in the line of making sure that you guys are taken care of, so we're good.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, we got our email newsletter down below. I think Levi will show you where it's at. So make sure you sign up for that. You'll find out when our exclusive deals and updates are. With being the first day of February, we got some cool February stuff coming, so sign up and see what we got going. Today we're going to be talking about
Diesel winter anti-gel.
Yep.
And our...
It tells you right here what we're going to be talking about.
Okay, I just need to catch up with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're talking about diesel winter anti-gel and our diesel winter rescue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What else does it say?
And we are going to cover some frequently asked questions and a live product test.
A live product test. So we're going to have a little science today too, which is always fun. I think people like that, and we'll see how that goes. So, Hotshot Secret News. Let's start off with that. TV this weekend. This Sunday, you can catch us on Two Guys Garage. Learn more about our FR3 product. They're going to have it on there, and then on Monday, Two Guys Garage is going to be talking about Stiction Eliminator. So Sunday and Monday, that's Motor Trend Network now.
Yeah.
Formerly Velocity, now Motor Trend Network. So check that out. We also have a new event sponsorship. To kick off the season, we didn't think we were going to start the motorsports season until late April.
Yeah, looking forward to this one.
And now we have, we just got down with the Suncoast Spring Shakedown. Thanks to Ryan Milliken out there that helped me out get involved in that. We're a gold sponsor, and we are the left lane sponsor. So racers out there, pick the left lane. It's going to be the faster one, I guarantee you. And that's down at Emerald Coast Dragway, March 6th through 9th. And what also is cool with that, Suncoast Diesel Suncoast does their diesel research lab, which is cool. So Kevin's going to be down there and going through the lab. Excited about that?
Yeah. It's going to be a good opportunity to learn, do a deep dive into the inner workings of transmissions. And,
especially after we just developed our first transmission fluid this past year, and we learned a lot on the way, so it's going to be cool to hopefully you pick up a lot more knowledge out of that.
Yep.
We're looking forward to it. So see you guys all down there in March to kick off the season. New t-shirts coming soon. Yeah, we have a whole new line of t-shirts. Jen, our graphic designer, who's awesome, just designed some new t-shirts, so our apparel is being revamped for 2019. So that should be coming it'll be here in February sometime, so you'll see all our new designs. We'll have them online. And you want to give, who's our dealer shout outs?
I got it.
No, you don't.
Yes,
Let's get more.
Okay. Also, we want to thank a lot of our dealers that are authorized through us. Some of them we want to shout out this episode is Hines Performance Parts in Shelbina, Missouri, BK Diesel in Dubuque, Iowa, Mathew's Garage in Cartersville, Georgia, Falcon Auto and Diesel in Murray, Kentucky, Lawyer Farms in Marion, Ohio, Freedom Diesel in Chesterfield, Massachusetts, P&A Auto Parts in Bloomfield, New Jersey. Those are Hot Shot Secret Dealer Spotlight.
We appreciate it. Do you want to jump in?
So let's go. Yeah, let's go ahead and jump into this because I mean, we've kind of talked about it. I don't know where everybody else is at. If you even comment where you're from and how cold it's been there this week, we've had a lot of questions of. I mean, here it was negative 40 degrees at one point.
With the wind chill, yeah.
With the wind chill.
Nuts.
And even at that, the day after, it was like negative 30 with wind chill. So it's been one of those things where people are like, well, how does your guys' diesel winter anti-gel work? And how can I just use it whenever it's going to get cold the next day? And so, I mean, these are kind of questions we kind of need to talk about today. So.
And it's challenging because we understand a lot of times, a lot of our products are, you know, for performance enhancing or, you know, gain more efficiency, that type of thing. Mm-hmm. When somebody's dealing with this, they usually have a problem. They're dealing with some gelling and it's not fun, and we get it. So good and bad, we hear a lot of stuff of people calling in, trying to figure out what's best for their systems and everything. So if you have any anti-gel, winter diesel, freezing up, preventative questions, go ahead and post them. We'll take them good, bad, and ugly, and we'll address them and hopefully educate a little bit about these type of products today.
Yeah, one thing I kind of want to bring up real quick, just right off the rip, is that we have a lot of customers out there who feel like it's okay if they go ahead and freeze up and then just throw some kerosene or something in and it'll be okay. On your perspective, Kevin, how do you kind of look at that? And first off, freezing up in a diesel truck is not good in the first place, but to just say that you're going to throw something in there to kind of cure that logic probably isn't the best.
Yeah, I mean, what the kerosene does is it helps the solubility of the diesel fuel to be able to reabsorb the wax. So, you know, one thing, just taking a step back, you know, to help you guys understand, you know, diesel fuel just isn't one component. It's like sort of like a range of hydrocarbons. It's what they call like a C10. There's 10 hydrocarbon chains up to a C16. And good and bad is the fact that falls within the wax range. Right. Good because there's a lot of BTUs available for waxes, but bad because waxes do precipitate in the wintertime. So diesel fuel is generally about 75% wax, and
which is crazy.
Yeah,
I just learned that today.
Yeah, I mean, and it's paraffin wax. It's really the same as candle wax. Mm-hmm. It's just solubilized in diesel fuel, and the rest is the solvents that keep it in solution. So basically what happens in the wintertime is basically when diesel fuel gets cold, it becomes less soluble. So all that wax comes out of solution and becomes a solid. So what kerosene does, it acts as more solvent to help it really stay in solution longer. And we actually have some data from some testing on what kerosene does and how it affects the freeze point and the what they call the cold filter plugging point and the cloud point. So just to give you an example, if a fellow was to put 30% kerosene in your diesel fuel to prevent freezing, that would lower the cold filter plugging point about 10 to 11 degrees. So if you're in this example here, the baseline diesel fuel clouded up at 14 degrees Fahrenheit with 30% kerosene, it only brought it down to 3.3. Right. Well, kerosene, it's a premium product. It's kind of expensive. So when you're looking at the cost and the benefits of putting kerosene in, you're usually looking at like 15 to 20 cents to even go up to that 30% of kerosene, only affecting it at 10 degree protection. Whereas if you used a good diesel winter anti-gel, it generally affects the cold filter plugging point about 20 degrees. Now, what's difficult for us as formulators and probably you as customers is having a set standard of what a product is going to do for you. And also, there's the root of all that is that there's a lot of variation. Because diesel fuel is a range of hydrocarbons, there's a lot of variation in different parts of the country on how much wax, how much aromatics are in the diesel fuel.
And that often causes a lot of our drivers out there to say, you got a guy that's 20 below,
Yeah.
running fine, and then you got a guy at 10 above, and he's gelling up.
Yeah.
And he's like, how is that, what's wrong with this product? And it's not the product. The product's still moving that point down 20 degrees.
Right.
It's with the fuel where they're starting at.
Yeah.
And that's one question that we get a lot is, are diesel fuels the same? And no, they're not.
Yeah.
There's different degrees of diesel fuel, and people sometimes don't understand that.
Yeah, it's a range. So, a refinery will take out different cuts out of a barrel of crude.
Right.
Crude from Canada might be so thick that it flows like molasses, where, from Texas, it's almost as thin as gasoline.
And so that thicker stuff's going to have a lot more paraffin, a lot more wax,
Yeah.
and then the other one. So,
Yeah, so-
you've got some really good data that shows this.
Yeah, we get samples from all over the United States, and the information we wanted to show you today is the difference between a bulk terminal in Lima, Ohio versus Indiana. So this was
So we're not talking Canada and Texas.
No.
We're talking Indiana and Ohio, the difference in the fuel just
Yeah.
from those
Yeah,
two.
one state away. The only difference is the origin of the crude. So Lima, Ohio, we have 2 data points. The cold filter plugging point in this particular number 2 diesel fuel at the terminal, it would plug at 7 degrees Fahrenheit and would start to get cloudy at 18,
Right.
which is actually really high. In Indiana, actually I said Indiana, it's actually Illinois. It would get cloudy at 6, and the cold filter plugging point, instead of being at 7, it wouldn't plug a filter until minus 23.
Wow.
30-degree difference.
Yeah.
Just from where that fuel's originating from. So again, if we have the ability to bring that down 20 degrees, you're still, if you're getting that fuel from that plant in Ohio, you're only good down to negative 13. Whereas if that fuel's originating from that plant in Illinois, you're good down to negative 43.
Yeah.
So it's often, it's not the product that has the differentiating variance on how low it can go. It's where you're starting at with that fuel.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're gonna talk about what the diesel winter anti-gel does. Just like the kerosene, it actually doesn't work like kerosene in making the diesel fuel more soluble. What it actually does, it's called a wax modifying chemical. What we use is a EVA, ethylene vinyl acetate,
Covinyl.
covinyl.
Vinyl acetate.
I was abbreviating, but
I was
you called
educated
me
today.
out.
We had a deep conversation about this today, so
Well,
I'm
and-
glad I got one in on it.
Well, and with using kerosene, even that it kind of, and some other products, to just throw them in there whenever you do gel up or freeze up, you might lose a little bit of cetane boost. You may lose lubricity and everything. Where that's totally different with our products, because you're not losing that with using our diesel winter anti-gel.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true, because
and that's-
kerosene's a little lighter, it burns a little cooler and has a lower BTU value, so you could lose as much as 10-15% fuel economy in the wintertime because of that difference.
And that's an important point about our diesel winter anti-gel, and maybe to frame the discussion right now, I'll first address the bonuses you get out of our diesel winter anti-gel, and then we'll get into exactly what the anti-gel part does.
Yeah.
The great thing about our anti-gel, especially everybody out there that's fans of our EDT, our everyday diesel treatment, you're going to get the same benefits that you get all year long with the EDT in our diesel winter anti-gel. It has the same formulas in it to give you all those gains, plus the anti-gel. So you're going to have, let's name our 6, right? You're going to have a cetane booster.
Correct.
You're going to have a rust and corrosion inhibitor. You're going to have a fuel stabilizer, a lubricity adder, injector cleaner.
Yep.
Which one am I forgetting?
Oh, I was going to say injector cleaner, we just named that one. I know there's one more.
Water dispersion, right?
Water
water
dispersant.
dispersant, yeah.
Water dispersant. So all the stuff that you love out of our EDT, when it becomes that cold time of year, you switch over to our diesel winter anti-gel, you're not going to lose any of that. You're going to retain all those benefits plus the benefit of the anti-gel. So, and we've talked about the EDT and those benefits a lot. So today we're going to focus just on the anti-gel part of it. And you mentioned the EVA, the ethylene covinyl acetate.
Yeah, they're good.
So let's discuss that conversation we had earlier. Exactly how does that acetate work, and what's really happening as that's helping save your fuel.
Okay. Well, as wax crystals start to come out of solution, they first come out in little bits. And if you were to put a paraffin or a wax crystal under the microscope as it's starting to form, it would look like it has little fingers on it.
Jazz hands.
Yeah,
Come on.
jazz hands. We'll
Come on,
demonstrate.
TJ. You missed the conversation earlier.
So what the vinyl acetate does, let me take a step back and say, once the wax starts to form and has those fingers out, those fingers are sticky.
Right.
So as more and more wax starts to form, they start to combine. When they combine, they get heavy and they fall to the bottom. And what the EVA does is it ties up those fingers to keep the wax crystals in very small bits, small enough to pass through your fuel filter. So that's why when you use a diesel winter anti-gel, it affects the cold filter plugging point so much. It doesn't affect the cloud point as much as it does. It keeps you running and keeps those crystals modified. And then there's a second chemical that we put in the formula.
Let me unnerd that a little bit.
All right.
So what you're saying is, in the diesel fuel, we already know how much wax is in there. Mm-hmm. But when it's warm, it's well soluble in the fluid itself.
Yeah.
As that temperature comes down, the wax starts to come out of the solution,
Yeah.
and that's when you start to see what we call a cloud point.
Right.
Because your fuel will actually get cloudy. That's actually the wax spreading its fingers,
Right.
coming out of solution. And so that's what a lot of things are measured at that point. And at that cloud point, that fuel is still going to pass through a filter. The test they use is a 40 micron filter, I think you said, for the plug.
For the cold filter plug.
For the plug. So at that point, you're still going to be able to pass your fuel through. You're not in trouble yet, but you're getting pretty close to it. And after that, once the sticky fingers start collecting with the other paraffin wax in there, they start to clump up together. That's when trouble starts to happen. And that is what we call the cold filter plug point. When they stick enough to each other and build up enough, they'll get stuck in that filter, and that's the point where you're in trouble.
Yeah, they'll blind it off.
And then past that is the ultimate point of the pour point, and that's when it's completely gelled and it will no longer.
Yeah, you can't pour it out of a container.
Right.
Yep.
So that's what our EVA.
That's how the EVA works. Then we have an additional chemical in there called a WASA, or a wax anti-settling agent, and its main purpose is, if you think about the sequence of events that happen once the wax starts to form, the bits are forming, some of them are starting to come together and fall to the bottom. What the wax anti-settling agent does is it keeps them dispersed for a period of time. It doesn't keep them dispersed forever, but it improves the odds of, or actually I should say it the other way, it reduces the odds of a slug of wax getting to a fuel filter. So that's the other thing that can happen. The wax particles could be in small bits, but if you get a big slug of them, just the fact that a lot of them goes to the fuel filter at one time could actually blind off the fuel filter
Right.
too. They should be dispersed. So that's the two ways that we deal with wax.
Prevents it from collecting at the bottom of the tank.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
So your EVA is going to cover up your sticky fingers of your wax so it doesn't clump up together.
Yeah.
And then your WASA is going to keep the wax from settling at the bottom so it's able to still pass.
Exactly. Yep.
And then there's one more key component to our anti-gel that helps out as well.
Yeah, the moisture dispersant that we use is, there's a couple of different ways to deal with moisture. Some people use alcohols, some people use glycols. Glycol is a more premium product to use to deal with moisture. That's what they typically would use in the jet fuel application to make sure that water is kept from freezing. So basically the water dispersant that we use is a demulsifier, so it helps the water get to the water separator so it can be safely removed. But then in cold weather, more importantly, when moisture does form, it doesn't let it freeze.
Right.
It'll protect it down to minus 40 degrees
Right.
before the water and glycol will start to get slushy. So
Now, some people substitute that with real alcohol, though, don't they?
they do, and it doesn't. There's two potential problems with alcohol. One, it's more of an emulsifier,
Right.
so it can pull the moisture through your entire system. You don't want a lot of moisture going into your injector pump. If it eventually gets to the injectors, you could have a cracked tip on an injector, or we've even heard of tips blowing off injectors. So that's one problem. The other is with an alcohol, it doesn't lower the freezing point as much as a glycol does. It's very inexpensive.
Right.
It's a very inexpensive additive, but it's not as effective as a glycol.
Okay.
So let's address something that is very confusing to people, and I completely get it. We get this question a lot. We have an anti-gel product that is going to prevent your diesel fuel from gelling, yet a guy leaves the bottle in his truck door, and he comes out, and it's freezing out, and he goes to grab his bottle of diesel winter anti-gel, and it itself has frozen and gelled. And we get some upset customers, and I understand. We do recommend, storing it above 32 degrees, but they just can't fathom how the product that's supposed to ungel everything and keep the stuff ungelled itself will gel at 32 degrees.
Yeah.
So we get the question enough, let's address that.
Yeah, the main reason is that the active ingredient that ties up the wax is actually solid at room temperature. So if we were to take some EVA and set it on the table, it would not run off the table. It would just stay there in a chunk. So to make it usable in wax modification.
Fun fact.
I was
we
going
learned
to say,
today.
I was going to say, you need to tell them because this is stuff we use actually in everyday life that we don't even pay attention
Fun
to.
fact I learned today that your pool noodles, right?
Yeah, it's a form of EVA.
Your pool noodles are a form of EVA. So
Yeah.
that is exactly what it is at room temperature. So it's an interesting, and your little foam knee boards and flip-flop material,
Yep.
it's EVA. So that's the stuff that ends up, saving the day, but also will freeze at 32 degrees.
Yeah. Yeah, so the more active ingredients you have in the product, actually the higher point it'll freeze at. It's surprisingly opposite. The more it would protect, but the less it is, or the more it's prone.
Yeah.
Prone to freezing.
And we get why people get confused about that. And
Yeah.
so remember, if you're using our diesel winter anti-gel, please don't leave it in the truck, or the vehicle for under extremely cold temperatures. Bring it inside, keep it in a warm place.
Yeah.
Use it as you go. It's not made to withstand those cold temperatures.
Yeah, that'll ensure that it gets mixed up well too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
No, well, see, that is a big question for a lot of guys, though, is that then they want to know, okay, if I put the diesel winter anti-gel in my diesel fuel and then I leave it sit, will it all of a sudden freeze up everything that's inside of there? And we had this conversation earlier. You said, no, that's not the way it works. So for the people that are out there, they don't have to worry about, and we actually had a guy that stopped in here the other day who had a 16-ounce bottle with about 3 ounces left, and he said, it's frozen. He's like, and my truck is about to sit for a day. Is it going to freeze like that? And we had this conversation. It won't freeze.
Right. This gets back to the diesel activated.
Yeah, but it's not diesel activated as I would want to say it. But
It makes sense, though. I mean, it's an
Yeah.
easy way to explain it. Is once it's blended with the diesel fuel, then you're good to go. Then it protects it down to those low temperatures. It's just on its own, before it's blended with the diesel fuel, it will freeze. It's just really hard to explain and understand, but
Yeah.
that's why we recommend keeping it above 32 degrees. A couple of these questions we had leading into it. Can I add DWAG when temps are already cold out?
Okay, so we should qualify that. The best time to add a DWAG is 10 degrees above the cloud point.
We actually tell people in October to start
Yeah.
getting ready to switch your system over.
Yeah, the worst
Get some of
case-
that running through your filter, and you never want to be surprised.
No.
and some people actually, I'm not going to name names, but they will run our diesel winter anti-gel all year round.
Depending on time of year.
Yeah, and so the thing is, we always tell people, October to April, always run the diesel winter anti-gel, because we've had people in Texas who are all of a sudden calling us and saying, hey, your diesel winter anti-gel froze me up. Yet they just put it in the day before because they realized it was going to be negative 20 out. And it's kind of things like that we want you to be prepared, so we tell you to start in October, and it makes sense to keep it running until April when you're like Ohio, where you're negative 40 one day because of wind chill, and tomorrow it's going to be 47, and then 50, and then
Yeah.
the weather makes no sense.
It does.
So,
It does.
so diesel winter anti-gels definitely need to be added.
Also says, what makes our diesel winter anti-gel different from other anti-gels? kind of touched on this from the top. Number one is fully formulated.
Yeah.
So you're going to have all the benefits of the EDT that we mentioned off the top, as well as if you're just comparing just our anti-gel properties, you want to address that? Why we use that three-step approach that we discussed?
Yeah.
Some other people just run with an EVA.
Yeah, exactly. And everything that we do, the diesel extreme, the EDT, and the diesel winter anti-gel, like Kyle said, we try to do it fully formulated. And so we have two aspects of that. We have the cleaner and the cetane boost that gives you the payback for using the product. And then we have the rest of the formula that protects your fuel system. We believe that both of those should be in there to give you guys the best value.
And it's like Chris has said, many times before, when we're developing products like this, he's constantly sending it back to the lab and saying, well, could it be better?
Yeah.
Could it be better? We don't start with a end game in mind of let's get it to a point where it's sellable.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what we're doing. We're trying to give you one product that is going to solve all your problems, give you the best bang for your buck, but we're not going to stop until everything's in there. So while a lot of the products, a lot of anti-gels out there just have the EVA in them, and there is a benefit to that, we wanted to go a step further, add the wax anti-settling agent, go further, add the glycol. So it has every aspect that you can run into from a winter perspective in diesel fuel is in that bottle.
And see that whenever I first started here, I was coming in as they were switching from the old formula to the new one, where it used to be just, it was kind of base like everybody else, but then you guys started saying, hey, we need to add kind of a better mixture for everybody to be able to help them more.
Sure.
And that definitely, and some people have been a little upset with it freezing in the bottle and everything, but then you have a lot of people who are seeing that and they're like, well, if it's able to, I understand it more whenever you tell me what's going on.
Right.
So it's just more about knowledge than anything.
And that's one of those things too. If you have another brand's anti-gel that isn't freezing under 32, it doesn't have everything in it that we have.
Well, and I do want to ask this question because we get this call a lot too. People will ask if they can mix the diesel winter anti-gel with the everyday diesel treatment because it is kind of the same thing. Would that give them more of an improvement in cetane or anything, or would it kind of deplete it?
Yeah, the way we have the diesel winter anti-gel formulated, it's formulated for a premium dose of EDT,
which is our normal 1 ounce per 25 gallons on the EDT side.
Right. Exactly. So if a person, like we have a lot of trucking companies that run it at the performance dose because that's where they get their best payback. So if you're a customer like that, I mean, you would want to put like another dose of EDT. You'd want to put actually the premium dose to top off the diesel winter anti-gel. So yeah, you can.
And then you effectively have the performance dose of EDT with the anti-gel properties.
Yep, exactly.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay. And don't give Trey Sykes any ideas about.
Yeah. Tree overdoses on this stuff. Well, we got a lot of questions and comments, Artie, so let's catch up on these real quick.
All right.
Colin Ellison says, checking in from Ohio. Can't stay long, but I love my EDT, Diesel Extreme FR3, and recently the gun oil. Use it in all my buddies' guns. Great, thanks, Colin. James Bruce, house froze up, but Olga didn't. HSS anti-gel rocks. Good to hear. I'm lucky my house didn't freeze up. I usually do. The Jason Smith from the home of America's Trucking Network. Yeah, we're on there all the time. Cincinnati, Ohio. Areas around here get down to -5 degrees. We know. We're getting them up here too, just not too far away. Colin Ellison, also in Cincinnati. Got a lot of Cincinnati listeners today, watchers today. Says, also in Cincinnati, kept my Duramax and diesel BMW gel free. Good to hear, Colin. We appreciate it. Samir says, when are you going to start making fuel filters for diesel trucks? I've asked this question.
That's not on the table.
I was gonna
It's
say
not on
that.
the table.
That's not an easy one.
It's not, and no time soon, we'll put it that way. Now, we do have a bypass filter, our France filter setup, so, that's available, but as for OEM replacement style filters, we don't see it in the near future. Patrick Bittner asked, can I use too much of the anti-gel? It was -60, wow, in northern Minnesota.
Well,
Great question, though, too.
that is. We did want to talk about that.
Yep.
So So yeah, that is a question we get a lot. So the answer is on most additives, more is better, but not the case with diesel winter anti-gel. So just how we talked about that the EVA is frozen or solid at room temperature, what we want to do is, in an ideal treatment, is to tie up all the wax, but not have so much extra EVA in there that it affects the point that the diesel fuel sets up. So we've tested diesel fuels from all over the country, and we think that we've optimized the formula. Honestly, we've changed the formula 3 times since I've been here, because we're always testing and improving and trying to do better. But the treat rate that we say on the bottle is what we feel is the optimum treat rate, and you really shouldn't veer from that, because you could actually be hurting yourself if you use a lot more.
Yeah, and we had this conversation earlier because this was a question that has come up a lot this week. But you said I think it was like every ounce or so that you get farther away from that 3.25, it actually is doing a negative effect than what it would be doing to help it.
Yeah, exactly, because you're putting more of a, just like the waxes is needing to be solubilized by the diesel fuel, the same as the effect with the EVA. So you're really trying to dissolve more solids into the diesel fuel, and that'll give you a better chance of plugging up a filter, because either more wax will come out of solution, or the EVA could possibly come out of solution and plug a filter.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So just so you know, don't overdose the diesel winter anti-gel, because in return it's not really going to help you at all.
And it could hurt.
Yeah, it could actually hurt you.
And that's not for many of our products, that we say,
Yeah.
Obviously the trace Sykes dosage of EDT,
Yeah,
you're not gonna hurt anything. You just get to the point of diminishing returns on your wallet. But certainly with the diesel winter anti-gel, stick with the dosage we recommend.
Yep.
Keep the questions coming. Let's see what else we got. James Bruce says, "Dude, the beard is intense." It is. It is.
Good one.
We're glad it's still here. Sticky fingers, that's funny. I'm loving the unnerding. That's what I'm here for. When Chris and Kevin are around, we got to sometimes decipher it for them. Mass Traction says hello. Hey, Brandon. Congrats on a big weekend down there in Texas with the Legion of Demons. Todd Roberts says hello. Hey, Todd. How you doing, bud? So Brent Hilliard has a question. Okay, so if it does freeze while carrying it in the back of the truck, will it thaw out without changing the chemistry?
Yes.
Yes. So if you do forget and leave your diesel winter anti-gel in your truck or in the bed and you come out and it's frozen, just let it thaw at room temperature?
Yeah, and just make sure that you shake it a little bit, just as a precaution.
To remix
Yeah,
it, make sure
Make
everything...
everything uniform.
If you do that, could you even add a little bit of diesel fuel and kind of shake it up in there?
You really wouldn't need to.
Okay.
Yeah. It actually, it would be difficult to kind of keep control of the proper treat rate, so if a person shakes it and just, redistributes it through the jug, it should be fine.
That makes sense.
So I hope that answered your question, Brent. Todd Roberts, released gun oil. It's released, man. Go buy it right now. It's online. And we got some big stuff coming with the gun oil here soon. Stay tuned. That's my question, Brent. So we answered that. Will it hurt the anti-gel if it freeze post-freeze? Don't understand the question, James. I just got it. It's awesome. Mass Traction says he runs performance dose always. So Brandon at Mass Traction, if you're running the performance dose, and I know Brandon, I know he runs. I think he said he saved $7,000 in fuel last year running his big equipment across the country to all the tracks, just using EDT. So he runs the performance dose. So Brandon, I know you're out there in Arizona and you're usually in that sunny weather stuff chasing racetracks. But if you find yourself in a cold environment and you switch over to the anti-gel, then that would be an example of using the single dosage of EDT on top of the DWAG if you wanted to keep your performance dosage. So thanks for mentioning that. Todd Roberts said, he's talking about the gun oil again, did some testing last year using on guns, knives, locks, etc. Yeah, we use it on about anything metal touches metal. Tractor Supply carries it. They got diesel winter angel, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Southern Western PA is just above freezing in the sun. Well, James, get the anti-gel in. Can I use Diesel Extreme with the anti-gel or wait till spring? Same with EDT.
That's a good question.
You stumped him.
Well, we kind of already talked about using the EDT. The Diesel Extreme, I mean, you're looking at just a higher dose of
Injector
cleaner. So, I mean, you're not gonna push the EVA out of
No.
solution or the wax.
No, it won't hurt anything, and there's actually no effects. The Diesel Extreme would still give you the 1 tank cleanup, and yeah, there's no harm in overdosing.
You actually, on the Diesel Extreme, if you do that, you could do it at 8 ounces then instead of 16 in a 30-gallon tank.
Because you get some benefits of.
Yeah,
You could.
So that would make sense. So yeah.
I mean, hopefully you've already been kind of on top of your cleaning and you're switching from EDT or doing a Diesel Extreme, we say every 6,000 miles or so. So hopefully you knocked it out before the winter comes. But if you need to knock it out with your anti-gel, it's not going to hurt anything. You're still going to get your full cleaning out of it. Brent Hilliard, like the squeeze bottle to carry in truck without needing a funnel. Ever considered a longer spout? Yes, Brent. We've considered it a lot. I don't know where we're at. We've been back and forth. We have been looking at different bottling, different funnels, a lot of things.
Doing some brainstorming. We've had different bottles 3D printed so we could see, how the spout is to use, and yeah, we're still a few months away from doing anything with the bottles.
Yeah, and the challenge is these trucks keep changing. The different filler caps, and some are capless, some have the cap, some have your little door right there, and little do you know there's another door hidden down about 8 inches. So even if you get the funnel there, they're all changing, they're all different. So it's hard to develop a universal bottle that will fit all applications. And but we're very much aware of it, and we're trying to address it to make sure our products are easy to use. I think we're caught up there.
Good.
Thanks for all the questions. Keep them coming. Keep them coming, guys. We're happy to answer them.
So, did we have any more questions about what on the diesel winter anti-gel? I mean, we pretty much covered everything from it freezing in the bottle to what's inside of it. So, I mean, is there anything that people should know about the diesel winter anti-gel that possibly they don't know of? In general, I mean, you can go and there's some competitor products that are just heavyweight oil that they think that it will help. Or with our product, we talked about the glycol being in there and helping.
Yeah.
Now, if you get to a certain point where, let's say we're from Ohio and we go to California where it's sunny and hot. If we were to be in California and coming back, should we do it like a week before we come back that we put the diesel winter anti-gel in? Or do we put it in when we're halfway through the country and we know it's starting to get cold?
You gambler?
Yes, that's really what it is.
Well, see, the problem with that is that we have a lot of truckers and stuff that are using our products, and some of them will say, well, I'm going from Louisiana up to Michigan, and they'll ask, well, can I just wait until I get halfway up there when it starts getting cold, put it in? And it's kind of goes back to, well, the next day is going to be cold, so should I use it? Like, what is the correct way to start using diesel winter anti-gel instead of just...
Yeah, the safest way, just like we talked earlier with these fuel samples, some fuels get cloudy at 18 degrees. Okay, so it may actually not even be that cold, in his eyes, but you really ought to be adding that diesel winter anti-gel 10 degrees higher than the cloud point. So he really would need to add that at 28 degrees, maybe even, warmer than what he would think he needed to. So, yeah, and just to mention, that's the biggest thing we want everybody to know, how the product works. It modifies the wax crystal, so you have to add it ahead of time before there's any any sign that the wax is starting to form. That's where the product's most effective.
Yeah, and one thing that we've had a couple questions about is everybody kept on asking, are different fuels at different stations different? And we answered that, yeah, they are. But a lot of times, truckers will stay away from stations that they know that there's not a lot of people going to, because at that point, that diesel fuel is sitting there for such a long time and then being pulled out, and you don't know what in the world you're getting in the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, that's a good point. If the fuel is at an 18-degree cloud point, you actually, nobody's using it. The wax will be concentrated at the bottom, and you could get a big slug of wax. It's a good point.
Definitely don't. Well, I mean, just for a lot of our truck drivers out there, and even some of our hot shotters who are running across the country, most of them have points of where they know that they'll fill up. But then there's some that daily drivers who will just fill up wherever, and at that point, I would pick a pilot over a mom and pop shop that might be sitting there and nobody's going to it.
Yeah.
Because at that point, I could be getting all those waxes inside of my truck, and I really don't want to have to change the fuel injectors on a truck because it gelled up and froze up. Or
That's why I think some of the research that we have from some of the fuel sampling we've done from across the country is pretty surprising. Like, we've heard a lot about northern fuel versus southern fuel, but to see state to state, middle of the country, down the road have literally 30-degree difference in their fuel and the wax, that's crazy. So you can't always be sure of what you're getting, and I think you mentioned earlier too, if you were to be using our A&I gel, which we're going to do, 20 degrees?
Yeah, it'd be 20. We give you an extra 20 degrees protection below the cloud
plugging point.
Yeah, or the cold filter plugging point.
Right.
Yeah.
So what you think might be cold, and if you're still if you start having an issue after using our A&I gel, and say it's 10 degrees out, and you're thinking, wow, this product should work further than that, then the fuel you're getting is starting pretty darn high. You might be able to literally cross the street and get fuel from a different gas supplier and use our product and get down to negative 20 degrees.
Yeah,
It's so you always want to, and we have fuel sampling coming now too. We've done a lot of oil sampling. So if you ever want us to sample your fuel, we're going to have that service. I don't think that's up yet. Soon.
Not yet.
2 weeks.
It will be actually 2 weeks. We just placed the order for the bottles.
Great. So in 2 weeks, it's awesome. In 2 weeks, we'll start having our fuel testing too. So if you're curious to find how the fuel is out around you, we can help you with that. It's exactly what we do for our own research. So we can help you with that. Got a couple testimonials that came in just this week with some of this Arctic blast that we've had. I guess this is yesterday. RCD said, with the recent Arctic air blowing cold, I don't have any sluggish startups in the morning anymore. The diesel winter A&I gel product works. Thanks, RCD. Daniel Miller says, I live in western Rockies of Montana. Never an issue with freezing fuel. Not to mention my Super Duty injectors are healthy again. Very happy. We appreciate that as well. And Dave says, when I use winter A&I gel, I can definitely feel and see the difference. Power increase, as does mileage. And that's important. That's what we say. We're keeping you from gelling up, but at the same time, you're not losing those extra benefits that we have in the product. Yeah,
one thing we didn't mention earlier, with the extra cetane in there, cetane does help the truck fire up a lot better in the wintertime. So that's probably one of the effects he's seen.
On the non-Huey style injectors. Just to make everybody clear, we get that a lot.
Here's a this came in this week, January 27th. It's a little bit long one. I'll read it though. I use this. They're talking about our diesel winter A&I gel. I use this in a 2007 Ram 2500 with a 6.7 Cummins. I recently moved to South Dakota, and the temps in January are rather cold. I've been using it since the move, and I've started my truck without being plugged in temps at negative 10 degrees Fahrenheit and slightly warmer. The truck definitely groans, probably because they still have 15 W40 in it, but the truck runs strong without any gelling. I run the interstate, and my truck does not have the winter coat, keeps all the cold air from going through the cooling lines, and my truck rarely hits operating temp. The fuel is the last concern I have due to this product. I'm not sure what the wind chill is doing 60 miles per hour down the road, but with snow and sleet during those temps, I can't imagine it being very warm. However, I've never had a gel problem. like with other products I have tried. I'll be stocking up on this stuff as the winters are longer for me now. Great, Arbel, thanks for the lengthy review there, and we're glad that you're happy with the product and it's taking care of you out there in South Dakota. So, do you guys, let's check on the questions.
Yeah, we got a couple here. So, Dan, or actually, I think somebody had asked, James actually asked, he said, just asking about when is the best time to use the diesel winter rescue emergency beside the obvious time. We're going to get a little bit into that.
Yeah, we're going to do that next.
A little bit. And then Dan said, do you recommend changing filters with using Stiction Eliminator and FR3 and Diesel Extreme with a clean out gunk up filters?
It could.
It could.
It depends. It depends what's in your system. The Diesel Extreme has a fuel stabilizer in it, and the injector cleaner helps to keep asphaltenes in solution. And then if you have asphaltenes in your fuel system, it will redissolve them. It also does clean off some insolubles. We have heard instances where people, after they use the Diesel Extreme, they have had to change their filters. Usually it prevents that, but there is those cases where it does happen. So as a precaution, you should carry some spare filters with you when you run it.
Yep.
So then we have James. He also asked, do you have a list of fuel stations across, and what kind of fuel you found good and bad?
We don't have a list of actual fuel stations. Most of this testing is done at the
pipeline.
At the pipeline, right?
Or the distribution station.
It's going to go many places from there. Mm-hmm. So, and we do have a lot of great data. I mean, this is broken down by month. We do multiple testing. We don't just test it, once a year. And we've got pretty much the country covered.
Yeah.
Of all the different places where the fuel starts at before it really goes out to all of them. Down to the actual service gas station level, we don't have. But again, if you have a place that you go to and you're happy with, and it's your local spot that you're always filling up with, and you're concerned or you want to know exactly how good that fuel is, we will have fuel sampling in 2 weeks.
Yeah. If I was to pick one, it'd be Marathon.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. You heard it there.
So then Chad actually said, Chad Myers says, I use 4 ounces with every fill up.
Hey, Chad Myers. How you doing, bud?
And then James Bruce said across the U.S., he was talking about good and bad. And then Riley McFadden said, since I started using your winter blend in my TDI here in South Dakota last year, I never run number 1, and I never had an issue even in this last week's cold snap. Which, I mean, if you use it right and you use it when we normally tell you to start using it, there's no real issue of having that worry of your fuel gelling up and causing issues.
As long as they listen to you, they're good.
Well, we've talked about this, so just with the whole education process of telling people how to use products, because even if you buy something that's at the local store, if you don't read the back of the label, which a lot of people don't like to read instructions, so we got to kind of educate them. That's something that we need to do, and I'm glad to hear more and more people are not having issues of the diesel winter anti-gel or gelling up and being able to get around.
Yeah, we haven't had just a couple of calls.
Yeah, and so since we're getting towards the end here, let's quickly move over to, oh crap, you didn't use diesel winter anti-gel. And there are a lot of poor souls out there this week that got stranded.
Yeah.
Especially how we kind of had a mild winter so far, and then boom, this vortex came in. So a lot of people were gelled up this past week. So if you were one of them, you weren't alone. There are a lot of people. And of course now we have our newest product, our Diesel Winter Rescue. And so, Kev, why don't you give us kind of we're not going to go too deep into this like we did the anti-gel, because this is more of an emergency product.
Yeah.
This is something that it's a good, as I said earlier, this is insurance is what it is. It's a good insurance product. Throw it in the truck. If you ever have a problem, it's there for you. When you need it, it's almost too late to buy it. So go grab a bottle. We got it on the website now. It's now available. So it's a good thing to have just insurance over the winter in case you're in trouble. This is going to get you out of trouble. So how does this work? We talked about the wax, the paraffins, start sticking together. Now they've clogged it's got stuck in the filter, and the fuel's not flowing anymore, and now it's gelled up, and we're past the pour point, and you're stuck.
Yeah.
What do you do?
So at that point, you have a clump of wax blinding off your filter. So what you need to do is to make the fuel more soluble to cause that wax to go back into solution. So what we have in our product that accomplishes that is solvent. Aromatics in general make paraffins go back into solution. Well, solvents are dry chemicals, so we have lubricity additives in there to actually go a little bit above the dryness of the solvent that's in there. And then the third component we have is not always is it the paraffin that blinds off your fuel filter. Sometimes it's ice crystals. So we have a large amount of glycol, the glycol dispersant in there to lower the freezing point of any moisture that you have in your system once it's melted. So those are the three components, and yeah, it's an emergency product, but
We're sorry if you have to buy this product.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
but it's a product that we got asked about a lot, you know, and like we formulate anything, we never really got into this market because it was kind of, if we do it, we're going to make the best available out there. We're going to cross check every box we possibly can, fully formulate it to fix every possible issue that you're going to run into with that, which often, you know, we have two different types of treatments for this. So we get them both covered, whether they have frozen fuel filtered or gelled fuel. And sometimes you have one or the other, or both. You want to talk about the treatment on that?
Yeah. If you let me take my shoe out.
Sure. Here.
Yeah, to use the product, if you're stopped alongside the road, to de-gel the fuel filter itself, you would put about 50. You'd fill up your fuel filter, or you know, if it's a canister or if it's a spin-on, fill it up about halfway with the Diesel Winter Rescue. That'll melt everything that's in there. Then if you're trying to treat your fuel tank itself, you'd throw the whole bottle, the 32 ounce in for a 40-gallon tank.
And you bring up a good point, because sometimes people think whenever you hear Diesel Winter Rescue, they think, okay, well, I'm froze up, I'll just dump it in my tank and I'll be fine. When it's not the case. Like, that fuel filter has a big part in whether or not you're going to stay gelled up or not. So that brings up a great point that you said, to actually pull out the filter. A lot of people don't even check the filter. They need to actually pull it out, make sure if it's waxed up. We got to figure out how to get the gel off of there.
I bet Levi's shown some nice picture of a gelled filter already today. You've probably seen that if you're online. So.
And they're disgusting. But,
They're nasty.
But that's a good visual for a lot of people who may be new to the diesel world, or they've had diesel but they've never changed it themselves or been their own mechanic.
Well, now you're on the side of the road and you have to do something.
Yeah, you're in trouble. There is no, okay, well, I'll just call somebody and it will just go back to normal. It is, now you have this Diesel Winter Rescue in your hand. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to take out your fuel filter, make sure it's okay, and get it all taken care of, or are you going to sit there and wait for somebody to come and get you? So,
Yeah.
We got a comment from a funny account called Lubrication Specialties, Inc. I think it's the first time they've commented. And it says, Movember is over. When is Big Country going to shave that beard?
not going to happen. I didn't know Chris was back from Florida yet.
Oh, he's probably on the road. So Mike Brewer says, been an average of -25 here in West Michigan, and my Cummins has been in great shape with Hot Shots Winter Additive. Thanks, guys, for a great product. Thank you, Mike. Thanks for letting us know. We appreciate that. Mesh Track's great info, guys. Thanks. Thank you, Brandon. Aaron Darnell asks, does your D-WAG work with biodiesel fuel? Curveball.
And I meant to ask that earlier, because we do have a couple people that, I mean, there's 10%, 15% biodiesel out there that people do get.
Yeah.
And does that cause the WASU and everything inside the EVA to kind of not react better or as good as it should?
Yeah, so biodiesel itself is not very freeze resistant because it's because of where it comes from. So a B20 means that it has 20% biodiesel as part of the mixture. Our product will still give the quoted claims of the -20 up to a B20 diesel fuel. But again, it modifies how the wax is formed.
Right.
So far, there's no chemistry to make the biodiesel component more fluid in cold weather. So there's a lot of R&D being done on that, but right now, just modifying the wax is the best strategy to help the fuel.
Makes sense.
Looks like you're getting a lot of support for the beard there, TJ. They want you to keep it.
Thank you. You guys are awesome.
Maybe we'll put up a charitable shaving again this year. We almost had you last year.
You almost did.
With Emily, so
You almost did.
we'll see if we can't do it. So we're pretty much at our end point here. Do you guys have any final comments you want to say about to you guys out there using the product? Gonna show our cool little demonstration?
Yeah,
Let's do it.
So, we don't know. We've opened this chest about so many times, it's crazy, but we're at negative 24 degrees. We put some of our products to the test. So we know, we had to make sure that everybody knew, negative 24. So Kevin can tell you a little bit more about what is going on in each one.
You gotta stay in frame.
So here.
Yeah, so this is what diesel fuel looks like in your tank when it starts to gel. So when the wax starts to form, it just starts to get cloudy, and then as the wax crystals start to combine, it'll fall to the bottom. So this is what's getting
TJ,
picked
get that
up.
closer put the black background on.
This is what's getting picked up by your pickup tube. You know, if you're not using the wax anti-settling agent.
Okay, and yeah, you can actually see where it's actually falling down in there.
Yeah.
Towards the bottom. So then we'll move to the next cool one.
Yeah, these first three are examples of different local fuel samples.
Yeah, see,
And kind of what we wanted to tell you, all these are from just a block away from each other. So you can see the difference between the previous one and this one. This fuel is so gelled up that it won't even pour.
So that's going past the 4 point.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's not quite as cloudy, but you can see it's at minus 25. It's past its pour point. So that was main.
This is the diesel fuel with our diesel winter anti-gel in it at negative 25.
Hold it sideways. There you go.
Yeah, I'm not sure which of the past three that TJ had showed you was the same fuel as that, but we have some house fuel that we made that with, and you can see how the diesel winter anti-gels kept the wax at bay, and it's not accumulating at the bottom. It's a little bit cloudy, so it's definitely hit its cloud point, but it's not accumulating at the bottom. So.
This was just regular fuel.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
starting to.
That actually is the same fuel without the diesel winter anti-gel in it.
So you can see
Yeah, Aaron
Yeah,
made
it's
two of
starting to
those.
sludge up and everything.
Yeah. So.
Cool to see. What temperature is that at?
Negative 24.
Negative 24. Negative 24 real. That's not wind chill.
Yeah, that's negative 24 for real.
So we have these great little 4-ounce bottles of anti-gel. Treat 31 gallons. Should give some away, don't you think?
Yeah, it's a great idea, Kyle.
You think that's a good idea? I think it's a good idea. TJ, why don't you pick some people?
Okay, well, let's go ahead. We'll pick James Bruce, one person.
All right, James Bruce.
And then Todd Roberts.
Todd Roberts.
And how many you want me to pick?
Let's do a 6-pack.
Okay. 6-pack. Well, then Brent.
Brent.
Jason Smith.
Jason Smith.
And Colin Ellison.
Colin Ellison. How many was that? It's 5? I think it was 5. If it was 5, we're going to add one more. We'll throw another name on.
Mike Brewer.
So send us a message on our Facebook page with your address, and we will send you out a bottle of our diesel winter anti-gel to make sure none of this gelling happens to you this winter. I know it was kind of the week to talk about it with the craziness we've had out there. So, and if you have any more questions, if you're watching this later or anything, feel free to post, feel free to call us, feel free to email us, private message us. We love hearing from you. It's how we make our products better. If you're stuck on the side of the road and you need advice, we'll take those calls. you know, so we're always happy to hear from our customers out there, or people just looking, that are interested and want some more product information. That's what we do.
And another thing is, anybody that does have questions or has any concerns or anything, they can actually call us or email us, and we'll talk to you directly. It's not like we're going to send you to somebody else to talk to. We'll be
Call
there.
center in India.
Yeah. I wasn't going to try to say that, but there are some companies that you will get sent to India to talk to them, and they have no clue what they're talking about. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of that, it's that interaction with the customer to let them
Yeah.
know, hey, listen, we're here for you. We've had, what, 2 or 3 calls about somebody that has gelled up or they felt that the product didn't work the way that we thought it would, and immediately we're like, well, let's reach out and talk. Let's not just forget you.
Yeah. Yeah, usually when things like that happen, no matter what the cause, we try to find out what the root cause is and try to put a countermeasure in place. So,
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, happy
Thanks,
Friday.
guys.
Stay warm. Have a good weekend. You gonna sign us off,
Yeah,
TJ?
big country out.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
yeah, thanks.